I'm being joined from our Abuja studios by a medical laboratory scientist who is also the National Publicity Secretary of the Association of Medical Laboratory Scientists of Nigeria, Dr. Ifeanyi Kesmer. Good evening, Dr. Kesmer. Thank you for your time.
Ladi, good evening. It's a pleasure to be here. Our viewers, good evening also.
22,492 samples have been tested in Nigeria as at May the 6th. As at April 16th, a total of 6,649 had been tested. Now, the first question is, are we using the right method if we need to find out how many people are infected in an efficient and effective way?
Thank you, Ladi. The testing method deployed by the National Center for Disease Control is one that fits perfectly into the recommendation by the World Health Organization. However, we are not using it efficiently and effectively. There's no problem with the testing method, but there's a problem with the approach to the testing method. What is the problem? As I talk now, we have backlog of specimen. The report from Nasarawa alludes to that. They are still waiting for specimen submitted many days ago, and they are yet to come. We have our ears on the ground as a professional group, pivotal professional group in medical laboratory testing in Nigeria. I can also tell you as at yesterday, it was also published in the dailies that they have a backlog of well over 2,500 specimen unprocessed. And so what is the challenge? We started with about 5 molecular testing laboratories in Nigeria. Good 18, the leadership provided by Dr. Chikwe Hekwazu had led to today, as of today, following today's laboratory activation, we now have 22 laboratories that have capacity for molecular testing. That's wonderful. From the figures we rolled out between April and now, you can see an exponential increase from 6,000 to well over 20,000 tests already done in a short time. Now, what is the challenge? The challenge we have here is largely that of manpower. Do we have people in Nigeria with competencies, capacities for molecular testing? Yes, we do. We have abundant medical laboratory scientists out there that can be deployed and used to ramp up testing. The major disconnect is human resource. I do not understand the reluctance at engaging the human resource we have in abundance in Nigeria. On this same platform, I had said we have close to 30,000 medical laboratory scientists, young medical laboratory scientists, willing to volunteer on this particular assignment. We must have our laboratories do 247. If we have our laboratories do 247, we should be able to mop up the backlog. For example, just last week, the NCDC lab in Gadoa activated the Roach covers, which is the second method as approved by World Health Organization in April. That means that machine alone is able to do 5,000 in a day. So the challenge we have here is that of under-capacity utilization. And why do we have under-capacity utilization? Because we are reluctant at deploying our soldiers, deploying the ready hands we have. We must stop politicizing the COVID-19 pandemic battle. Because if we do, and we're frugal about engaging people, we will really not be able to give a clear picture of the morbidity in country. And you see, with what has happened, we have had ease lockdown. The impact of the ease lockdown will only become available by the end of May, because that is when the samples will have come in and the test result will begin to become available. So I expect that part of what must be done is, can we profile people that we say have capacity for molecular testing? Can we begin to use the right people to provide the testing? It's also part of the challenge. I'll tell you why. Today, during the PTF COVID press briefing, the DG NCDC said something that is unacceptable globally. What do I mean by that? It's a gross non-conformity for you to conduct tests on people and you say you call them to give their result verbally. It is actually a major breach of laboratory quality management system for you to do a test and there's no documentation of that test, on the side of the person whose specimen you are taking. And so that is because we're beginning to worry about who are those indeed behind the testing, particularly what we saw in Kano, where the secretary to the state task force was the one signing out laboratory results in conjunction with the state epidemiologist. If they were sending report to NCDC, that would be right. But signing on the laboratory form, a few things need to be put straight by NCDC. There has to be a template for reporting of laboratory results for COVID-19 testing. There has also to be the responsibility of the person performing the test being the one to sign the test for issues about vicarious liability, so we can vouch for the throughput of the result. Again, is that Nigerians are being
Dr. Ifeanyi Kasper,
there is no state in Nigeria
you haven't actually given me the opportunity to break it. I didn't break it with any question apart from the first one, because you went on to answer even the questions, some of the questions I was going to ask. But at this point, I want to thank you for joining us. What you've said is food for thought, particularly what you talked about in terms of the documentation of test results and those being handed over to those whose samples have been taken. Thank you very much for your time. At this time, Dr. Kasper Ifeanyi is a medical lab scientist, is the National Publicity Secretary of the Association of Medical Lab Scientists of Nigeria, and he joined us from our Abuja studios. Thank you so much for your time.